What is therapy, and what are the barriers to it being successful? Chances are, if you're considering this question, there's some sort of pain point in your life, some emotional distress, relationship conflicts, irreconcilable conflicts, some some overwhelming or distressing issue that seems unresolvable, and or we sort of reach the end of ourselves, our capability, our knowledge, our understanding of what to do. And so some level of hopelessness or distress drives us to seek out support, help from somewhere. And despite the significant increase in both access and social acceptability of therapeutic support in recent years and decades, there remains a very wide range of approaches to therapeutic work, to mental health work, from the various disciplines within the field of mental health, and even within each one of those, from one practitioner to another. And so, to me, therapy is support for processing painful, debilitating, or stuck emotions. It's support for de escalation and communication, a place to process existential stress, and a place for the facilitation of healing from trauma, neglect, or grief. And so, what are the barriers? Stigma. Though we've come a long way since the days of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, William James and others began to bring awareness to this field and begin to normalize it, there's still a huge stigma that therapy is only for weak or crazy people. Rigid ideology, dogmatic beliefs that prevent us from considering new perspectives or possibilities is another barrier to effective therapy. As the Greek philosopher Epictetus said, it's impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Another major barrier is insufficient motivation to change. Change is hard, and many of us come into therapy with the magical thinking that a therapist can fix everything. And the reality is that therapy is often a place where we come to accept and grieve that which we cannot change. I like to say that in America we have a happiness problem, and to some degree it's a universal problem, but particularly here in the U.S. It's anchored in our most fundamental documents and the foundations of our culture. That the pursuit of happiness, at least, is a fundamental right of humankind. And I guess when I use that term, a happiness problem, what I mean is that we have this kind of idea, this belief, even though we know it's not true. There's a part of us that believes anytime there's pain or distress or a breakdown in a relationship or something like this, that indicates something is fundamentally wrong or bad, and that we must change. And of course, change is often helpful, sometimes even necessary, but pain is an essential part of life. It's an unavoidable part of life. And so I call it a happiness problem because so much of the time we think that there shouldn't be any pain, and if there is pain, that itself indicates some problem with us. And so therapy can, as I said, oftentimes just be a place where we learn to recognize and accept the things that we cannot change. Across and throughout life, there's a tension between knowing how and when to take action to change that which we can, and knowing when to accept and grieve that which we cannot. And so another barrier is to effective therapy is ineffective support. Therapy is not a place for advice or shameful labels. It's a place to explore and come to better understand ourselves, to find answers to our greatest questions within the wealth of our own experience. My own rule of thumb is that I tell clients all the time, you'll know in your gut if it's helpful. We know within ourselves, and for me personally, when I'm looking for my own therapist, which I do this work based out of my own 20 plus year mental health journey, and my own rule of thumb has become to, if I don't have a strong clarity in my gut by the end of the first session, certainly by the end of the second one, then it's not, and it's time to keep looking. Another way I like to look at it is to consider that a therapist is a human being. They're no different from anyone else that we might encounter. Ideally, it's someone who has spent a fair amount of time wrestling with the complexities of their own life and maybe the complexities of humanity as a whole. For me personally, again, when I'm in my therapeutic, in my work with clients, I draw from a wide range of specializations far beyond simple mental health. Things like philosophy, sociology, anthropology, exposure to multiple cultures from travel and living abroad, time spent in war zones, in conflict spaces, and of course the experiences that one has in their own life. On top of course, psychology, neuroscience, and of course many other areas of life. And so if this sounds like an approach that might be a good fit for you, or if you just have some questions and would like a consultation to explore those, we would love to be of support to you. And regardless, we wish you all the best in your search for the support that you need.